What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JayShrek back with another video for Armor Comics review. This is cuts off. Wolverine cuts Hawk's head off. That's what it's called.
Do flight crew.
I said I'd never join.
Never knew how strong I was. Joining the Navy sounds crazy.
Children's embrace? Logan's
mind still tries to bring him back to
Yeah, my bad,
reality.
y'all.
They're gone.
My beats is
It
gonna
reminds
die,
him.
so I gotta
Arid
charge
sand whips across the desert as Logan and his son try to fix up the leaking water tower. Am I interrupting something? An old blind Hawkeye yells up to his old friend. Water tower sprung another leak. Logan yelled back. Choosing a specially crafted arrow from his quiver, Hawkeye plunged the hole with his trademark accuracy. But even as the elderly Avenger launched his arrow, Logan's mind was still reminding him that
Wanna keep stopping. That's because the Wi-Fi not up.
It was all an illusion.
every moment of this comfort, torture. Logan and Clint sit on the porch. Clint is offering Logan a job, asking him to drive across the country to the city of New Babylon. This isn't how it happened. Logan remembers. Clint suddenly reaches his fingers up to his forehead and finds a gaping bullet wound straight through his skull. Huh? Weird, he says, then continues with his offer. Their deaths. Logan's conscious brain echoes, all your fault. You stopped fighting, turned your back on who you were. Then, from behind the two men, the charming voice of Logan's wife rings out. Hey boys. But when Wolverine turns to look at his beloved, he sees only the horrifying, decomposing skulls of his wife, two children, and Hawkeye staring back at him through empty eye sockets. Ready for another cold one? His wife asks. Inside Logan's head, his voice begins to scream. Stop it. Coward. Wake up. Coward. Suddenly, the dry heat of the desert leaves Logan's lungs, and he shoots awake with each frigid, icy breath burning his insides. Snow falls all around him, replacing the sand and dust of his dream. He moans as he tries to lift himself from the ground. Wordlessly, he stands and begins investigating the forest around him. Sniffing quickly, he picks up a rotten scent. Brushing the snow away, he digs to find the source. Frozen, disfigured bodies greet him as he excavates their graves. The hell is going on here? Wolverine says to himself as he looks down at the dead. He rushes through the blizzard now, his mind racing with questions. What happened? In his memory, a flash of red and a face. Right, he remembers. Maestro. The green, merciless mug of the rampant warlord that once went by the Hulk
Navy.
stares
Y'all might
back
be
at
joining the
Logan in
Navy
his
one day.
mind. Those bodies. Wolverine
Might
considers, but as he braves the freezing
Actually,
temperatures,
they
Wolverine's
don't
once sharp
televise
mind
that.
begins to swim in fog.
that.
Damn it, he thinks.
Later?
Nowhere near 100%. As the forest around him fades to black, Logan collapses by the side of the road, helpless and alone. See? I told you there's someone there. A voice from the snow rings out. Two scouts with weapons drawn come across the fallen hero's body. Help me lift him up, the first scout asks. No way, forget it, his partner asserts. There are two others already on trial for helping that dude. I'm not putting my neck on the line for him or you. I'm getting back up there. As one scout flees, the other leans down to help the fallen hero. To his surprise, Logan weakly whispers to him as he is helped to his feet. Hey, kid, don't put your neck on the line either. It's Joshua. We met before the kid started, but Wolverine interrupted him. I remember. And I'm not leaving you out here, Joshua said. Now, come on, let's get you away from here before Brent comes back with the cavalry. Kid, Wolverine whispers, but this time it was Joshua who cut him off. Joshua, I hate it when people call me kid. Logan smirked despite him. I had a backpack with me when I came here. You know where it is? Logan managed as Joshua helped him into a nearby abandoned apartment. Yeah, I can get it, Joshua said. You just wait here. Across town, in the chapel, the terrifying maestro towered over his fearful people. I've been a merciful king, have I not? The kneeling citizen's voice trembled as he replied, Yes, king, sir, you have. The maestro continued, Caleb, did I not give you a second chance, even after you tried to leave this place? Yes, king, the man named Caleb admitted. But still, the King Hulk thundered, you brought an assassin in. Brought him right to me. I swear to God, we didn't know. Caleb begged the maestro to listen, but his fellow defendants cut him off. He's lying. If I'm guilty, Caleb declared, so are you. That night, you were talking dirt on the king. Caleb turned to Aaron. I'm not the coward, Aaron. You are. The deep, guttural laughter of the maestro echoed out through the church. Oh my. The rats always turn on each other. Raising his colossal arms, the King Hulk brought down his terrible judgment on the two men. Regardless of whether what you did was out of malice or incompetence, the punishment shall be the same. Meanwhile, the Wolverine waited patiently for Joshua to return. Logan? The familiar voice pierced the cold, shaking Logan from his near-frozen state. Thought you were dead, Joshua said, tossing Logan his old backpack. Nah, Wolverine replied. Just feels like it. Someone's gone through this, Logan said, inspecting his old clothes and supplies carefully. Yeah, Joshua replied. Me, after I thought you were dead. Joshua looked out the window, anxiously for signs of any movement. I put it all back. Didn't take nothing. Slowly, Wolverine removed a glowing syringe from his pack. The Regenics, he thought to himself. Gonna need to boost my healing factor if I even want a hope of beating Maestro. Wolverine tucked the Regenics away. Look, kid, Logan leveled at Joshua. A Hulk, not much different than this bastard. Killed my family, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna let the same thing happen to your people here. Joshua looked skeptical. That why you came here? No, not originally, Logan admitted, putting his hand on the boy's shoulder. Maestro, he's got something. I don't know what it looks like. He probably keeps it close. Have you seen it? Joshua turned away. No, but I can ask around, see if maybe... But Joshua's words were cut short by a scream from outside. Please, no! From out the window, a darkened gallows was suddenly swarming with people. In the cold of the night, two figures sullenly trudged towards the hangman's noose. The two men who brought you to the king, Joshua told Wolverine. The king, Maestro, he thinks they knew who you were, so he tried them for regicide. Joshua's eyes swam with tears as he watched his neighbors surround the gallows. Make way, make way! An armed guard shouted at the crowd. A woman yelled at them as her husband marched toward his death. His children will lose both their parents if you don't calm the hell down, another guard told her. If she wants to be with you so bad, then it can be arranged that she hangs by your side, the maestro said as he shoved Caleb. She's fine, Cable said desperately. She'll listen. Been like this ever since the king came to town, Joshua told Logan as the two watched from the window. Woke up in the bodies, Logan said. Joshua sat beside Logan, unable to watch through the window any longer. At first, he was the only one killing people, Joshua remembered. But now he makes us kill each other instead. And people are too scared to fight back anymore. Anyone who did is dead. Caleb and Aaron reached the gallows, and the ropes were tightened around their necks. What is the delay? The maestro screamed. The people are here for a show! As the bags were lifted over the two men's heads, the hangman whispered, I'm so sorry. Keep my bag somewhere safe for me. Logan hefted his jacket over his shoulders. Joshua looked up at him. Where are you going? Going to stop this, Logan said confidently. Joshua looked at Logan fearfully, but he started, Maestro destroyed you last time. Thanks for the reminder, Logan joked. Joshua looked into Wolverine's eyes,
I don't know
a
how
glimmer of
long
hope behind his pupils for the first time in years. Okay, he said. And Logan, thanks. But as he said it, an all too familiar bang erupted out across the apartment. Joshua's face sank, and looking down at his hands, he saw a sticky crimson substance staining his gloves. What? He whispered. At that moment, all hell broke loose. The hangman pulled his lever, releasing the floor beneath the convict's feet. Joshua looked up at his shooter, the man who he'd been scouting with when they found Logan's body. Why? Joshua managed weakly. I told you! Brent shouted back, flanked by two other armed townsfolk. You're putting all our lives in danger helping him. Outside, the townsfolk screamed as they watched the two men suffocate. What did you do? Logan shouted as he dove at Joshua's attackers. Keep back, you monster, the men said, raising their guns at Wolverine. From the gallows, the maestro's words boomed through the night. Let this serve as a warning to the rest of you. At that very moment, Maestro's cronies unloaded their guns into Wolverine's chest. The force of the shotgun blast sent Logan hurtling through the window and out into the night. Landing with an eerie silence on the snowy ground below, the Maestro smiled as he watched Wolverine collapse. Well, look who decided to drop in. He joked grimly, but even as Logan desperately clung to life, a small glowing vial remained intact in his jacket pocket. I should have known better. The Maestro snapped at Logan as the old man struggled to get to his feet. Wolverine
streaming Marvel vs. Capcom later.
Easily. Logan could barely speak, but whispered into the wind.
Link in description.
Logan,
JayShrek.
no matter. The Maestro scowled. Logan had finally
Make sure you
risen, but
subscribe.
needed time to deploy the Regenics hidden in his pocket. This is pathetic,
Thank the
Maestro.
like button.
Logan mocked, desperately
If you
trying
know
to
you
buy
wanna
himself
find
enough time.
so
Even
I'll
for
miss the
you.
video.
These people,
Be a girl
you
and
know
please
they
like
can't
the
fight
video.
back. Not against you.
Comment
You're a
on
bully.
it.
Looking for easy pickings. Then, looking up into the gargantuan Hulk's cold eyes, Logan told him, You're a coward. The Banner I knew would be appalled to see what he became. Wolverine took the Regenics and pierced it into his vein. It's pathetic, he said. But before Wolverine could inject the serum, the Maestro's backhanded slap knocked him across the field. The Regenics was tossed to the wind, and Logan found himself at the full mercy of the Maestro. Did you really think that my ego would be so fragile that I'd fall for your elementary schoolyard mind games? The Hulk laughed viciously. Logan desperately searched the ground around him for the vial, but found nothing. As Logan dug, the King Hulk strode to him slowly, taunting and cursing the old man. But Wolverine could barely hear him. Up in the abandoned apartment, a bleeding Joshua clung to consciousness as he looked up at his shooter. What did you do, Brent? Joshua coughed. Me? The man said. No. I warned you, Joshua. You helped that intruder. You put us in danger. You can't put any of this on me. Joshua tried desperately to stem his own bleeding as Brent looked down at him quietly. Joshua whispered, Look at what's happening here. We're killing each other. We've turned into monsters. And you've turned on the one person who came here to help us. Save us! Brent yelled into the storm. Save us! The king decimated that old bastard. He can't even save himself. Unfortunately, Brent spat as he turned to leave. It's too late for you. The two remaining men carefully picked up the injured Joshua and carried him from the frigid apartment. He needs medical attention right away, one told the other. I won't have Joshua's death on my hands. Back out in the cold, things were going even worse for old man Logan. Damn, he thought to himself. Forgot how hard that bastard hits. Like being hit by a train at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Frantically, Wolverine scanned his surroundings for the Regenic serum. As the Maestro's foot came down once more on his back, Logan saw a young girl reach down to the snow and lift the vial into her arms. Fearfully, watching the terrible Hulk King beat an old stranger before her very eyes, the child took the vial and ran from the scene. Damn it, Logan thought, trying to lift himself from the weight of the Maestro's giant foot. You know, the Hulk said, as once more he slammed Logan into the frozen earth. I was perhaps a little overconfident when you arrived. Thought for
I call
certain
them
I
calf
killed
raises.
you.
Nobody.
The maestro
Comment
reached
up what do
down
y'all
with one
call
huge
exercise
fist
today.
and
Make sure
gripped
if y'all
Wolverine by his
exercise today,
skull,
click the subscribe
hefting
button.
the old-timer into the
Anyways,
air. That damned healing factor of
comment
yours is a
up
real
what do y'all call them?
nuisance.
Do y'all call
Looks
them
like we'll
calf
have to be a
raises or
little
do y'all
more
call them toe
inventive
curls?
in how we deal
If you
with
call
you.
them toe
Then, dragging
curls,
Logan across the ground by his leg,
freaky, bro.
the Hulk strode off
That's
towards
freaky,
his
bro. That's
makeshift
for girls,
prison,
bro. That's
telling
for
the
girls,
terrified
bro. You
townsfolk,
They
"Bring me
supposed to say
chains
that.
and every blooded
Men,
tool
the
you
boys
have in this
are supposed to say
godforsaken
calf
town."
raises.
As Logan was taken to be chained and tortured,
Subscribe if you
Joshua was on the
did calf
operating
raises
table,
today.
fighting to stay conscious as a surgeon stitched his
Like the
wound.
video
"Is he
if you
going
did
to make
toe
it?"
curls
one of the
today.
guards asked the doctor. "I don't know," they responded. Even as pain ripped through him, Joshua tried to speak.
I don't know if y'all could hear me, but I said like the
was
video
trying to sit back and keep
if you
quiet,
did toe
the doctor
curls today,
ordered, but
men.
Joshua had
Like the
just
video
one more word to utter.
if you did calf
"No."
raises
And with
today.
that, Joshua breathed his last. "You should all be ashamed,"
That's what I
Angela,
said.
Caleb's widow, said from behind them.
And now I
"We
got
all
speak into
should.
the
We've
speaker
been
because
acting
my
like
beats in there.
cowards." The guards tried to protest, but Angela's ferocity and anger could not be quelled. "The only hope we had out of this damn mess is being held prisoner because we were cowards." She spat at the two men who had watched Joshua die. They hung their heads in shame. "This ends now," Angela promised as she turned tail and strode off into the night. Meanwhile, in the king's quarters, the maestro sat
Undisputed.
lost in thought. His concubine reached out to lend a comforting hand, but the Hulk cast her aside. "Leave," he commanded gruffly. "I wish to be alone." Looking out the window, the maestro heard as someone entered his chambers. "What do you want?"
Yeah, I saw
the Hulk
Maestro
said, not
on,
turning to look. "Angela,"
I think,
Brent
on
cut
my
in.
Marvel
"She's been
shirt.
trying to get people all
He's
riled
a
up.
Spider-Man
Says she's going
villain.
to
I
start a
didn't know
revolt," Brent said.
I never saw
"And
him before.
earlier tonight,
I'll let me
we
know what
found
Spider-Man
another
he
of
was
our
in.
own,
Comment up.
Joshua, helping Logan. We were the ones who shot Logan, and Joshua too." The maestro looked down at Brent with something like appreciation. "You were? At least there are some around here who seem to be competent." "I overheard Joshua and Logan talking," Brent continued, desperate to win over the maestro's favor. "He said he was here looking for some sort of machine." The maestro's ears perked up at this. "He did he? Interesting." Meanwhile, Logan hung from the ceiling in chains, being watched over by two guards. Before long, Angela barged into the prison, demanding to have a moment alone with the captive. "This man is the reason that my husband is dead," she told the guards. "I have every right to look him in the face and say my piece." Assuming she was only hoping to take her pound of flesh, the guards left her alone. Angela approached Logan and asked if she could trust him. "You really an X-Men?" she asked. "Most of the time," Logan managed. "So if you can end it, really end it, then tell me," she demanded of Logan. "I can try. That's all I can promise." Just then, someone burst through the door to warn Angela that the king was on his way. Logan quickly whispered to Angela that he needed the Regenix if he had a chance at taking down the maestro, and Angela dashed off into the night to find the serum. Outside, the thunderous voice of the maestro called out to his people. He held Wolverine's broken form aloft by his chains as he demanded respect and obedience from the townsfolk. He publicly beat Logan before their eyes. "I could have made you great," the maestro told his subjects, hate in his eyes. But as he lectured the town, Angela and some allies were amassing weapons and gathering their strength. "You were blessed with my presence, and yet you spit in my eye," the maestro continued, threatening to kill each and every last person who didn't completely submit to his will. But he was interrupted as gunfire suddenly rained down on the Hulk. Angela and her forces stormed the town square. "We're done bowing down to you," she shouted as she opened fire on the maestro. Though the maestro couldn't be killed by mere bullets, his surprise gave Angela just enough time to reach the fallen Logan, who lay bloodied in the snow. Wasting no time, Angela took out the Regenix and injected the vial into Logan's bloodstream. "You sure this is going to work?" she asked. "Only one way to find out," Logan replied. Even as he spoke, he could feel the serum burning in his veins. His muscles tensed, his nerves sharpened, and with the strength of a much younger man, Logan finally unsheathed his claws, ripping through his chains like they were paper. This sudden change in Logan's demeanor got the Maestro's full attention. What did you? But Wolverine was done listening. All right, son of a... he said, racing towards the Maestro with claws ready. Time to put an end to your pathetic little charade. Logan leapt at the Maestro with a ferocity that he'd not felt in years. His claws pierced the Hulk's green hide with ease, and for the first time, the townsfolk saw their king bleed. Even I tire of seeing you beaten down, the Maestro said as a giant green fist collided with Logan and sent him careening into nearby rocks. I have an offer instead, the King Hulk told Logan. Not interested, he said. But with that, the Hulk jumped, hurling himself into the snowy forest, promising Logan, I think that you will be, as he fled the scene. Immediately, Logan charged off into the woods to track down his prey. This gave Angela and her forces enough time to take down those loyal to the Maestro and once and for all claim the town back for the townspeople. Logan hurried after the Maestro, desperate to find him before the Regenics wore off. Following the Hulk's scent to a remote cave, a familiar voice echoed out to him. Was beginning to think you weren't gonna make it, the Maestro said. As Logan entered the cave, prepared to rip the Hulk limb from limb, he suddenly stopped. A giant, futuristic machine lay within the cave. This is what you're after, isn't it? My time travel machine. Logan stood, motionless, in awe of the vessel. You step back inside this machine. I send you back home, the Maestro offered Logan. Old man Logan's gaze hardened as he looked back at the Maestro. Tell you what, bub. You first. Pass, the Hulk said. Then, without warning, the Maestro whipped around and smashed the time machine into a million pieces with one mighty blow. Stop! Stop! Logan yelled, but it was no use. The King Hulk demolished Logan's only way home right before his eyes. As Wolverine dove at the Maestro, the Hulk clapped his hands between Logan's skull. But between his rage and the Regenics pumping through his body, Logan was barely phased. I want to take my time, Logan thought to himself. Make him pay, but the Regenics is already fading. The two jumped at each other once again, but the Maestro had finally met his match. As the Warlord Hulk descended on Wolverine to finish him off one last time, Logan's claws found purchase in the Maestro's thick hide. With a sickening shick, Logan's claws ripped through the Maestro's neck and cleaved his head from his body. The Maestro's lifeless skull landed in the snow with a thud, and his hulking body stood in the snow for just a moment before falling limp to the ground, never to move again. Logan stood, holding his wounded body, staring down at the Maestro's dead body. Anger, hate, and pity all swimming in his eyes as he stared down at the man who was once Bruce Banner. Then, finally, Logan turned to walk away. But as he did, his wounds started to take their toll. The Regenics and adrenaline had finally worn off, and Logan's healing factor simply couldn't handle the physical damage his body had sustained. He moaned as he began to topple over in the snow. Can't, Logan thought. Not like this. Whispering into the storm, Logan begged, not gonna die here. Like this. But despite his prayers, Wolverine slumped forward into the snow and breathed no more. For more chaos from the Hulk of the future, check out what happens when Spider-Man 2099 faces off against the Maestro.
I reacted to that.